When you're sewing a garment with a flared hem, it can be very difficult to get that neat. So I'm going to show you my method for sewing a curved hem. This is Jen at Artisan Stitch. Just like in my video for sewing narrow hems, stitching a line of stabilising stitches along the bottom of the hem can help hold the fabric and give you a guideline for pressing. So I'm going to choose a 1 centimetre stitching line. Again, quite often the pattern will give you 15 millimetres for your hem allowance. So I'm going to use the first centimetre of that, first 10 millimetres in my stitching guide. So again, I've got a slightly less than 2.5 millimetre stitch because I'm dealing with this fabric which has a tendency to wrinkle. So stitching my guideline using the stitching my seam using the guideline on my needle plate. So you would stitch all the way around your hem, 1 centimetre from the edge. Now, part of the problem with a flared garment where you have a curved hem is that part of the hem is heading towards the bias of the fabric, which means that the fabric can tend to twist. And you've probably noticed on some of the clothes that you may have already, there's a slight roping effect starts to creep in around the hem. So this method will stop that happening. So I'm going to head off to the iron to press up my hem. Right, so just press. And again, this is a synthetic fabric, so it can be quite difficult to get a nice crease in it. So my guideline again will help stabilise the fabric and stop it twisting. So I'm going to fold just to the stitching, just in there. So the stitching is turned up to the inside and won't be seen. And this is a very similar method to the narrow hem, if you've watched that video already. So I'll pop the link to that in the description for you. Again, just curling it round. Now, see, as I pull, if you pull on the stitching, what it does, it's helping the fabric roll round. You see it wanting to roll round. So the fabric actually wants to do it, you just have to help it curl round. I've also got to be careful I don't scorch my fingers. There we go. Right, so you continue all the way around your hem. I'm in danger of steaming up my camera lens here too. Okay. There we go, so there's our hem. So from the front, looks amazing. Now, I'm just going to trim the excess off. You may find that you get some little sort of bunching. That's because the outer circumference is greater than the inner circumference. So the wider or deeper the hem, the greater that differential is. So if you have a very flared hem, try to keep it very narrow. So I'm just going to trim off the excess. Again, I'm cutting quite close to my stitching. Very close, And I'm now going to just turn up for a second time. So I can now turn up the remaining 5mm. And again, just a slight pull. You can see there, slightly pull the fabric taut, and it will encourage the fabric to roll round. This method also works for shaped hems on blouses. Okay, just slightly pull as you go. And it will curl. And again, synthetic fabrics can be fairly stroppy. You need to let them know who's boss, and it's not them. So again, a little bit more. And again, it doesn't want to absorb steam, so cotton or natural fabrics will absorb the moisture and behave very well. This one isn't, but that's held enough for me to take that back to the machine and stitch that down. So when you're stitching a hem, you can choose to do it on the right side, in which case you're stitching really unseen because you don't know if you're going to be catching in underneath. So it's often easier to do it on the wrong side, and you can make sure you're catching in that edge. Just make sure that your bobbin thread is neat. So I'm stitching quite close to this edge. Again, I'm actually watching though the distance from this side, the distance from this folded edge, since that's what you're going to be seeing on the right side. So that's the distance I want to remain even. I'm just holding the fabric down. I haven't used any pins. So you would go all the way around your hem. And there is my curved hem. I'm just going to give that a quick press, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. There is a curved hem.